There are tons of things you could consider when buying a new TV, but not everyone needs to get stuck in the technological weeds. Here's the advice to give the many people who ask this of them in real life. It isn't easy to find the best TV. There are so many options with elaborate screen tech and jargon-filled features, but the good news is that an excellent home theater experience has never been more affordable. This guide will help you find the best TV in your budget range. Based on our extensive testing experience with these sets, we'll cut the overwhelming number of options down to just the most worthwhile, from cheap options to cutting-edge flagship sets. To make our choices, we're balancing picture quality features, sound quality, price, and size options. The Samsung S95D is the successor to the Samsung S95C, a TV that took OLED brightness to a new plateau for the technology. Like the S95C, the S95D combines an OLED display panel with quantum dots for enhanced color, but Samsung's new model is even brighter, hitting a peak of nearly 1,700 nits, the same brightness level as mini LED TVs. New AI-driven technologies in the Samsung S95D work to bring out incredible levels of detail in both 4K and regular HD sources. Colors look bold, yet natural and dark images show a high level of shadow detail. A new feature Samsung introduced with the S95D is an OLED glare-free anti-reflection tech that effectively eliminates screen glare even when viewing in bright room lighting conditions, a long-standing challenge for OLED TVs. The Samsung S95D carries many of the same features as its predecessor, the S95C. And that's not a bad thing, as the S95C was easily one of the best OLED TVs released in 2023. Samsung again utilizes a QD OLED panel to combine the rich contrast of OLED and the brightness of QLED in the S95D, but the headline feature is the new OLED glare-free screen. The S95D comes with the new NQ4 AI Gen 2 processor, with AI at the forefront of the TV's processing via three areas: AI picture, AI sound, and AI optimization for HDR. The S95D supports the HDR10+, HDR10 and HLG formats, but not Dolby Vision for audio. The S95D has a 2.2 speaker configuration with 70 W of power. The most intriguing feature of the S95D is its OLED glare-free anti-reflection tech, which works to limit on-screen reflections. When it comes to TV reflections, mirror-type ones where an object or light source is clearly visible are the most common. The S95D's OLED glare-free tech changes these to haze-type reflections, so even if a light source is reflected, it will have a fuzzy appearance that's far less distracting. The S95D has a 2.2 speaker configuration with 70 W power and Dolby Atmos support. It also features AI sound settings such as Adaptive Sound Pro and Active Voice Amplifier that balance audio levels within movies and TV shows. Prioritizing dialogue without other elements, Samsung's Object Tracking Sound Plus OTS Plus is excellent at connecting the sound with the action on the screen. The S95D is simply one of the best-looking TVs on the market. It feels every bit its premium price, thanks to several design elements that give it a flagship feel for those looking to wall mount. The One Connect box, which houses all connections such as HDMI, optical, digital, audio, power, and more, is an external box that connects to the TV via one cable to keep things neat. And for those not wall mounting, there's a place to stash the box on the back of the TV's stand out of sight. Samsung's QN90C series TVs feature a mini LED backlight, which not only gives higher brightness than LED or QLED panels, but more accurate local dimming as well. And while the QN90C doesn't quite hit the OLED-like heights of the company's flagship QN95C when it comes to rendering the deepest shadows, its performance on that front is nonetheless impressive. Along with its strong brightness, the QN90C's anti-glare screen is a brilliant TV for viewing daytime sports. Gaming is a particularly strong point for our Samsung Neo QLED TVs, and the QN90C has 4 HDMI 2.1 ports with 4K 120Hz capabilities. There's also the Samsung Game Hub, which offers cloud-based gaming from the likes of Udomik, Amazon Luna, and even Xbox. The QN90C has better than average audio performance for a TV including an Object Tracking Sound Plus feature to enhance the directionality of effects in movie soundtracks. It also supports the company's Q Symphony feature, which lets you pair the TV with select Samsung soundbars for a more spacious and dynamic audio experience. Samsung's QN90C series TVs use a QLED display panel and mini LED backlight with full-array local dimming. A neural quantum processor upscales regular HD images to 4K, and a Neo Quantum HDR Plus feature dynamically processes high dynamic range content. As with other Samsung TVs, HDR handling is limited to the HDR10 Plus format. With no Dolby Vision support, the QN90C also features an anti-glare screen coating along with the company's ultra viewing angle tech to improve picture quality at far off-center seats. Samsung's own Tizen smart TV interface is used for streaming as well as home control via the Samsung SmartThings app. The company's Bixby tech is also on board for voice commands, and both Alexa and Google Assistant devices are supported in ambient mode, can be activated that shows a wide range of still and animated images when the TV is not in use, and you can both customize these and upload your own images for display. The 65-inch Samsung QN90C TV I tested delivered impressive peak HDR brightness with the set measuring 1,787 nits, measured on a 10% white window test pattern in its movie picture mode. There's also a filmmaker mode option, but that had lower brightness and was generally less accurate than movie in the TV's standard mode. Peak brightness measured 1,219 nits. To give those numbers some context, Samsung's flagship QN95C4K mini LED TV delivered 2,000 nits peak brightness in movie mode when we tested it, and 2,240 nits in standard mode. The QN90C has a built-in 2.2 channel Dolby Atmos speaker system that creates a believable sense of spaciousness with Atmos soundtracks. This effect is helped by the TV's Object Tracking Sound Plus feature, which works to make sounds more directional and aligned with the on-screen action. Of course, with a TV this thin, you're not going to be hearing much in the way of bass, and movies with bass-heavy soundtracks didn't sound particularly impressive when watched using the QN90C's built-in speakers. Pushing the volume to a high level also caused the sound to compress, which resulted in the spacious presentation heard at a lower level to flatten out. The QN90C features Samsung's Neo Slim design with an aluminum center-mounted hexagonal plate stand. It's a good look. The TV has a slender profile when viewed from the side, and the stand gives it a somewhat aerodynamic form while lending firm support. Samsung's slim design necessitates an equally slim side-mounted panel for the TV's input section, which offers up 4 HDMI 2.1 ports along with a USB, optical digital audio, and RF antenna connections. I found it a bit difficult to plug in some of my HDMI cables with thicker cables and connectors, but all hookups were ultimately made. The LG C4 is a great all-around choice for movies, gaming, or general TV viewing. Its wide range of screen sizes, models start at 42 inches and span up to 83 inches, also means a silvery 5.4 tray can be used in any application, from a bedroom or desktop gaming TV to a big screen set for a home theater. LG C4 gets a brightness boost over its predecessor, the LG C3, and its brighter picture and anti-reflection screen make it a fine option for daytime viewing. It supports the Dolby Vision, HDR10, and HLG high dynamic range formats. It also has a new Dolby Vision filmmaker mode picture preset that lets you watch movies the way the director intended without having to adjust picture setting. Other OLED TVs, such as the Samsung S95C, are picked for Best Premium OLED in the Sky, deliver even higher brightness than the LG C4. Although you'll pay considerably more for that model, the C4 does match our overall pick, the Samsung S90C OLED from 2023. When it comes to brightness, as though that model remains at top of the guide owing to its lower price than the C4 and excellent feature set. LG C4 OLED TVs have a new Alpha 9 AI processor 4K. Gen 7 processor with a brightness booster feature to maximize HDR highlights. This processor also helps with 4K picture upscaling and can upmix sound to a virtual 9 at 1.2 Dolby Atmos format. Another important processor-related feature debuting in LG's C4 and G4 series OLEDs is lossless wireless. Dolby Atmos transmission, which requires a compatible LG soundbar HDR format support on the LG C4, includes Dolby Vision, HDR10, and HSI Dolby Vision IQ, is also supported, and it has a new Dolby Vision filmmaker mode that disables motion smoothing in its default settings. OLED TVs are generally getting brighter year after year, with some new flagship models such as the Samsung S95D managing nearly 1,700 nits, peak brightness with the LG C4 in filmmaker mode, peak HDR brightness measured on a white window test pattern covering 10% of the screen area was 1,065 nits, and a full screen pattern measured 202 nits. Both of those results show an improvement on last year's LG C3, which managed 830 and 163 nits respectively on the same tests. The LG C4's UHD-AP 3-color space coverage in filmmaker mode was 98.7% in BT. 20/20 coverage was 72.7%. Once again, those are excellent results that are typical for the best OLED TVs. The average delta E values that determine grayscale and color accuracy, see How I Tested section for details, were 2.9 and 1.5 respectively. Those numbers are both below the threshold we typically look for TVs to hit a good thing, and with 2 off to 10 and 22-point grayscale adjustments, the LG C4 offers plenty of range to further improve accuracy. The LG C4's built-in 2.2-channel speaker system is powered by 40 watts, there's support for Dolby Atmos and DTS-X via pass-through, and an AI Sound Pro mode provides Virtual 9. 1.2-channel up-mixing of soundtracks. Several advanced audio features are unlocked when the C4 is paired with a compatible LG soundbar system. The first is Wow Orchestra, which combines the output of the TV's built-in audio with the soundbar's speakers for an enhanced audio presentation. Another key feature is Wowcast, which allows for lossless wireless Dolby Atmos transmission from the TV to the soundbar. The C4's sound, when watching movies, was good overall, with clear dialogue and a decent level of spaciousness, especially when AI Sound Pro mode was active. I left this mode on for most viewing and generally found it to be the best option, as with many built-in TV speakers, bass is limited and the dynamics get compressed when you watch movies at a louder volume, so adding one of the best soundbars to the LG C4 is this recommended option. The LG C4 carries over the same design as 2023's LG C3 with a lightweight composite fiber construction and a sturdy aluminum pedestal stand. The bezel framing the screen doesn't have the same thin, nearly invisible look as higher-end sets such as the LG G4, but LG's design still keeps the focus on the picture. Along with its HDMI and antenna connections, the C4 features RS-232 and Ethernet ports for control. There are also 3 USB ports and an optical digital output, and the HDMI 4-port supports eERC. The Sony A80L is the mid-range OLED TV in Sony's 2023 lineup that delivers rich, fulsome audio quality thanks to its speaker placement and Acoustic Surface Plus technology. The A80L's built-in sound is powerful and punchy, feeling fully connected to what's on screen. Because sound is allowed to travel through the screen itself, the audio is direct and room-filling at the same time. Bass levels are not massive, despite multiple subwoofers, but this is undoubtedly one of the best TVs for sound on the market at the moment, not just packed with an incredible sound system. The Sony A80L offers excellent picture quality with spectacular sharpness and detail. The A80L provides crisp images with both 4K and upscaled HD movies and TV shows. The color handling on the A80L is top tier as well, which in our review we said was mesmerizingly precise. The A80L does, however, have lower brightness levels than our top pick OLEDs, including the Samsung S90C at top on the list. With so many new takes on OLED TV technology now doing the rounds after years of relatively limited hardware advances, we first need to get to the bottom of exactly which OLED technology the A80L is packing. And the answer is that it uses a so-called OLED X panel, one that uses a traditional WRGB OLED design, but with deuterium OLED materials capable of producing more brightness than the panels used in the most basic entry-level OLED TVs. We have a guide to all the different OLED TV panels of 2023. There's no heatsink on board. To help the screen push even brighter, there's none of the micro-lens array technology introduced on the LG G3 TVs this year, and there are no quantum dots for Sony with quantum dots. You'll have to hold out and save up for the Sony A95L range set to launch later in the year. Well, the heatsink at least might have been nice. In truth, the A80L's panel specifications are pretty much in line with what we'd expect of a mid-range 65-inch OLED TV. It's the same core tech as the LG C3. As I pointed out earlier, the A80L can't depend on unprecedented levels of OLED brightness to make its pictures stand out from the crowd. Fortunately, it has plenty of other outstanding tricks up its sleeve. For starters, its sharpness and detail levels with both native 4K and upscaled HD content is stunning. Running the A80L side by side with a number of other key mid-range rivals, including the LG C3, sees Sony's set producing pictures that look more richly textured, crisper, denser, more three-dimensional, and more refined. What's more, even with native 4K content sources, this sense of extra clarity and resulting immersive immediacy is achieved without just applying aggressive sharpening processing to everything. The sense of detail and clarity instead feels completely organic and authentic. Sony remains the only TV brand in the world creating the sound of its OLED TVs by using actuators to vibrate their actual screens, and it's an approach that continues to work well. For starters, it has the advantage of producing a sound that emerges directly from the TV, creating a more direct and powerful effect than most TVs that use down-firing rear or side-mounted speakers. This room-filling directness of the A80L's sound is bolstered too by the set being able to go surprisingly loud without succumbing to any distortion or crackling. And by the way, its impressively expansive mid-range helps it produce a well-rounded and open tone, free of compression, harshness, or muddiness. Sony remains the only TV brand in the world creating the sound of its OLED TVs by using actuators to vibrate their actual screens, and it's an approach that continues to work well. For starters, it has the advantage of producing a sound that emerges directly from the TV, creating a more direct and powerful effect than most TVs that use down-firing rear or side-mounted speakers. This room-filling directness of the A80L's sound is bolstered too by the set being able to go surprisingly loud without succumbing to any distortion or crackling. And by the way, its impressively expansive mid-range helps it produce a well-rounded and open tone, free of compression, harshness, or muddiness. The A80L elegantly pursues a philosophy of producing pictures from the bare minimum of visible hardware. For starters, the frame around the screen is extremely thin, held by the screen generating the TV's sound, removing the need to build in any visible speakers. The screen is less than half an inch deep at its edges, and the screen frame tidally sits flush with the screen surface. The TV also sits on a pair of ultra-minimalist metal feet so slim when viewed straight on that you can barely see them. The feet can be attached in 3 different ways. To maintain the TV's most minimalist approach, you can attach the feet in narrow or wide configurations so that the screen sits right down on top of them, or you can attach the feet so that they raise the screen a couple of inches or so to allow you to fit a sound bar beneath the screen